Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to propose a toast to our beautiful bride. And on behalf of Trish and myself, we would like to welcome you all to Maunsell House. We are delighted that you've been able to join us in celebration of this happy occasion. I have it on good authority that some of you may be running a book on the length of my speech. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, here and now, anybody who's bid less than 2 hours, you've lost your money. Whether you are friends or family, whether you've travelled a few hundred miles or many thousands of miles, you're all welcome, and each and every one of you has played an important part in the lives of our family and those of Amy and Andy. It's a bit like Bob Dylan, you know, you remember his song where he just kept throwing it away. But I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that today, I'm sorry about the feedback, but today I am the proudest man in the world. Yay! Seeing your daughter look so radiant and so happy is a truly amazing and fulfilling experience. And I'll never forget how heartwarming it was to see two super people like Amy and Andy exchanging their vows. As I escorted Amy into the room, my mind drifted back to that glorious day in 1984 when she first came into my life. And holding her in my arms a few moments after she'd been born is something I shall never forget. All 5 pounds of her. She was so little, so vulnerable. And I well remember those anxious nights, laying awake for what seemed like an eternity, listening for those telltale signs that all was well. I'm not, of course, talking about those weeks and months after a birth. I'm talking about the teenage years. Waiting for the front door to close in the early hours of the morning. Worrying about her driving her car. Her tottering in the highest of heels, in pitch black, down the hill outside our house, and truly hoping that she wouldn't end up in the river. Relief came when she decidedly preferred flatties to high heels, but more anxiety awaited, wondering which tattoo she was going to have next. And more importantly, on which part of her anatomy it would be in place. But Amy has grown up to become a sensitive and steely young woman, a daughter of whom any father would be proud. She is determined, focused, which may be a little scary to some at times, but she lights up any room that she has entered, has a wonderful, wonderful sense of humour, and as well as being a true and loyal daughter, I think there are many of you here will agree, she has also proved to be a true and loyal friend. Time does not permit me to go through and recount her academic prowess and achievements. But the most common word that was included on her school reports was inquisitive. She never stopped asking questions. She excelled at sports, representing a school at netball, lacrosse and tennis. And it's so nice to see many of her former teammates here today, Zoe, Katrina, Pippa and Vicky. But if she was a good team player in all of those sports, the one thing that she really was the unchallenged team captain at, it was partying. Hell yeah. Her artistic talents were honed as a leading member of the Acorn Club, the headquarters of which were in the third cubicle from the right in the girls' toilet block. And a major confrontation with the headmistress occurred when Amy was accused, can you believe it? Amy was accused of drawing a three-legged horse on a newly painted window ledge in the school. The confrontation, of course, was not with Amy, it was between the headmistress and her mother.
Yes.
Trish stoutly defended Amy. Her daughter wouldn't do anything so stupid as to draw a three-legged horse, especially on school property. After all, she was a good girl, a model student who had been brought up to respect other people's property and to understand the difference between right and wrong. Trisha's rigorous defence of her daughter's good name was somewhat undermined when the headmistress pointed out that not only did she have it on good authority that Amy had drawn the horse, but she'd also signed the artwork. I'm pleased to say, though, it all ended well. And eventually, after many, many apologies and healthy servings of humble pie, Trish was eventually let back onto school premises. Horse riding was one of Amy's passions. Despite having her arm broken at the age of 5 by a horse kicking her, she showed great potential and daring, especially in cross-country. Although I do remember one particular day when her horse Crunchy had his bit put in upside down. That, for those of you who aren't horse people, is a bit like trying to run a marathon with a stone in your shoe. Girlish enthusiasm in idyllic days spent at the riding stables took a different turn when she became a groom for a local Surrey polo team. And she mixed with the likes of the Tarquins and the Henriques, who all had the ability to make her blush by simply looking in her direction. It's an endearing quality that many of us will recognise in Amy, that she is never able to even tell the smallest of white lies, due to the blush. There is no other way to put it. College was a bit of a blur. Not only to Amy, but also to her parents. And work experience with DJs and friends in PR seemed to consist of an endless round of long lunches and researching the nightclub scene, firstly in Guildford, and then when she got to 14 in central London. Career advice from school, after her likes and dislikes, ambitions and predicted grades at GCSE had been entered into the latest psychometric profiling model, thank you Helen, suggested that she would be well suited for a career as an usherette. Amy took this to mean that a career in events management beckoned. And after a very brief career as a cheese grater in the local pub, this morphed into setting up guest lists at central London nightclubs, arranging testimonial dinners for sports personalities, one of which was Mike Gatting, the former England and Middlesex cricket captain. Her undoubted ability to work spreadsheets secured her first job in the music industry, which led to film work, and eventually to a career in TV production with ITV. And the rest, as they say on that subject, is history. There comes a time in every man's life when you know your little daughter is all grown up. And for me, that time came when Amy told me that she had met the man of her dreams, the man that she may marry. She told us that he was tall, dark and handsome, solvent, amusing, and a man of the earth, a man of maturity who was very happy in his own skin. You can therefore imagine the surprise when she brought it home. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he was certainly tall, and he was certainly dark. But who is this man whose earning capacity and solvency did not appear to extend to his boots? A man who had a penchant for linen shoulder bags, whose happiness in his own skin and fondness for gardening was clearly matched by the mud under his fingernails. However, he soon made a very positive and lasting impression upon Trish and I, and the more we got to know him, the more we appreciated his many qualities. And through his strength and kindness, and the values which he holds paramount, Trish and I have absolutely no doubt that he will prove to be a loyal and protective husband for our daughter Amy. His firm views and strength of character will be sorely needed if he's going to keep Amy under control. Andy, I'd like to welcome you to our family, and may I also extend a very warm welcome to your mother Jill and Rod and James and Susanna. And I think it's no exaggeration. I was beginning to wonder whether you'd fallen asleep. I think it's no exaggeration to say that if the genes of both mother-in-laws, the bride and the groom's mothers, are inherited by the children of this marriage, they will be simply stunning. Whilst not wishing to take anything away from the best man's toast, I cannot avoid but make reference to the beautiful bridesmaids. All of whom I have known since they were teeny girls. Maunsell House will, I'm sure, have a long wait before they are blessed again with such beauty. Not only beauty, but also poise. Watching them growing up, I can tell you, it hasn't always been like that. But Katrina, don't worry, my darling, your secret is safe with me. Caroline, I trust that the car park was big enough for you, and you haven't blocked all the guests in by your most wonderful parking and driving arrangements. And Catherine, looking beautiful as ever. Nice to see that you're not wearing a pair of tights on your head. And just think, one day this will be your turn, and I'll be standing up here trying to think of some amusing little recollections about your past. For those of you who've come to that, trust me, I've got plenty of material. But my darling, please don't make it too soon. The finances do need a period of recovery. And finally to Vicky. Where's Vicky? What could I possibly say about the lovely Vicky, other than looking good girl? And wishing you and John all the very best for your wedding, which takes place in just a few weeks' time. At a time of great happiness and festivity, it is well that we remember absent friends and loved ones. Some who will be holding their own celebrations as they look down upon us from above. I'm thinking of Amy's grandfathers, Ted and Len, both of whom loved a good party, and cousin Nikki, who would have loved the yellow rosebuds, and Eileen, Trish and Ann's mother, the grandmother that Amy never knew, but whose pearl necklace Amy is wearing today. She will be proud to know that you have chosen such a wonderful occasion to celebrate that connection. And there are others who, through force of circumstance and other commitments, we would have loved to have had with us today. I'm not going to name them, but those who are here will probably know who they are, and our thoughts are with them all at this special time. Who said an hour, 20 minutes? Occasions such as this don't just happen. They are the result of many months of planning. But having been removed from organisation and planning duties at a very early stage, I can take no credit whatsoever. My lowly position in the finance department bears no comparison to all the hard work put in by Trish. I'm not sure this was the original intention, as Amy and Andy impressed upon us that they would be actively involved in each and every detail of their wedding day. So, having selected the location and decided upon the date, they promptly departed upon a 6-month sabbatical to the Americas. However, a planning meeting did take place in the Rainbow Rooms on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles in November. Trish was very lucky not to be arrested. But that got everything on track, and the result of which can be seen all around us today. So a very big thank you to Trish, our beautiful mother of the bride. To Sir Ben Slade for the loan of this wonderful house. To Liddy, our Master of Ceremonies wherever she is, thank you for all you've done. And all the staff at Montauk House. To Magda and her team of caterers from Posh Nosh. And to Anne, Auntie Anne that is, who hand-painted each and every one of your placemats and also the table signatures. Big round of applause. A big thank you also to Fiona and Leah Sassoon for bringing the Bougainvillea petals all the way from Savo in Kenya. On that sunny day in 1984, which I've referred to, when I first held Amy in my arms, little did I know that 28 years later, I'd be thanking my new son-in-law for the flower arrangements. Ably assisted by Diana, of course. But Andy truly is a man of the earth, and they look absolutely spectacular. Finally, a big thank you from the bottom of all our hearts to all of you for making the time to come and join us today on this special occasion. And that is about it from me. I haven't quite finished. I shall be interested to know who's won the money on predicting the length of my speech. I hope you enjoy this wedding breakfast and all of the festivities that are planned later in the day. And may I therefore ask you to be upstanding and to join with me in drinking a bumper toast to my darling daughter, the bride. The toast is the bride!